Hi. So now I want to show you how to do a boneless version of breaking down the chicken. So this is really, very helpful if you're doing boneless, skinless breast. If you're doing a fried chicken sandwich and you need those pieces. The boneless dark meat cooks up really well. It maintains its moisture level. The dark meat has a lot more fat in it than the white meat does. So being able to take out the bone of these really kind of expands your repertoire and your ability to do different variety with the chicken. So like last time, I'm just going to start with the wings. And then I'm going to take off the thighs. Getting the oyster. See, there it is. There's the oyster. Pop it back. There's the joint. Take it right off. This I'm going to leave now in a quarter because I'm going to show you how to take the bone out of this and leave it all in one piece. So don't split that one. Same thing with this one. So here's my oyster. Go up and around my oyster. Pop it out. There it is. So again, don't split that one. So this one, I'm going to go in my little spot right there. Hopefully I'll come out the same spot on the other side. Do that. Just cutting right there through those. All right. So there's my back. All right. So I want to trim this up just a little bit. All right, that looks good. So at this point, we're not going to get out the big knife and split it like we did before because we want this bone. We're going to keep it. We're going to put it in with our stalks. So the goal here is to take the lobes. There's one lobe here and one lobe here, and then the tenderloin is underneath each lobe. So we're going to start with a cut on either side of the keel bone. So this is what they call a keel bone because if you take it out, it kind of looks like the keel of a ship, the bottom of a ship. So it's called the keel bone. So I'll take my knife and I'll start a cut down either side of the keel bone. Yeah, like that. So there's the keel bone there. It's white. So I hit kind of right on it. There it is, right there. So now you can see it released quite easily. So up here, right there, this little bone right here, that's part of the wishbone. So I just get that out of the way. So I've cut it down. So now I've detached it. So here again is my keel bone, and I've just gone down that one side, and my breast is literally just falling off now. So here it is. All right. So this is the tenderloin. So I'm just going to go right here and continue to, there we go. So now there's my boneless, skinless chicken breast right there. So my tenderloin is gone. I left very little on here. So again, so here's the tenderloin. And the tenderloin, you can really, sometimes it just comes right off, but I'm gonna just, so here's my tenderloin right here. Tenderloin always has this little piece of tendon that runs in there. And what I'll do is I'll take my fingernail and just really, this is a little slippery, pin it to the table with my fingernail, and then with my knife straight up and down, if I had a nice sharp knife, but anyway. So there's that little tendon, and I pulled that right out. So you see it's gone. So there's your chicken tenders for your kids' meals right there. So here's our boneless breast right there, and there's one tenderloin. You can, of course, take off the skin if you want to, then you have the boneless, skinless. So again, this one is left. I just kind of flipped it around. We know the keel bone is right here. Again, I'm gonna take my knife along one side of the keel bone. You don't have to press hard, and don't try to go all the way through on the first cut, right? You're kind of watching for where this thing attaches. So I'm kind of just taking my knife and just kind of cutting as I go. And then these are the ribs down here. There we go. So here's my carcass. So I got this side off pretty good. This side I left a little bit on there. I need to practice, I guess. So I'll put that with my stock. Now this one, I took off the tenderloin with the breast at the same time. The other one, I left the tenderloin on the carcass. So here's the tenderloin right here underneath the breast. So this, it literally will just come right out. So I'll give it a little, there we go. So there's my tenderloin there. So I have my 2 breasts and my tenderloin. And I'll very quickly just pop this out. If it's, yep, there you go. Doesn't want to stay. There it is. I'll get that later. All right, so the thighs. The thighs are a little trickier because we have 2 bones here and they have a joint in the middle. So we have, here's one end, and then there's another end here, and then of course it turns and it comes down this way. So I'm going to, right here, go down on either side of this bone. That's the first thing I do, is I release the thigh bone. So you see I'm kind of scraping. I'm not too hard, and I push at the same time to give it some cut action. This is really something you want to do with a sharp knife. All right, so I've released the thigh bone. Now I'm to this joint. This is tricky. So there's a lot of connective tissue around here. So you're just going to very carefully work your way around this knuckle. So use your hands. You can feel where it is. All right. So I'm past the knuckle now. So I cut all the way around just underneath that knuckle. So I know that everything has been released from the knuckle. So I'll put it back real quick. So here's where we are. I've released that. We've cut around our knuckle right here. Now the next part here is you're gonna grab it and make a circle with your fingers like this. And you're just gonna pull, just like that. So now you've filleted it. This goes in with my stock, and I turn this around like this. So here is my boneless chicken thigh. So by pulling the bone out like that, instead of cutting along the leg bone, it creates this little pocket. So you could actually stuff this with something, with some sausage or some cornbread or something like that. And then you wrap this up like this and you turn it over and you have this nice little stuffed pocket that you can roast. Or of course, you can just always take your knife into that pocket and cut it. So now it just lays out like this. And we would take this and sometimes pound them out, and you could put some sausage in there and roll them up, and you could slice them after they've roasted. There's a lot of things you can do with that. However, most people will, at this point, take the skin off and use the dark meat chicken for stir fry or for whatever they need to for a boneless dark meat. So one more time, let me give my trusty knife. All right, I want to go down here. And then go down this side. Please don't stab yourself doing this. All right. There it is. Going around this knuckle is always kind of the tricky part, but you do it a few dozen times, it gets much easier. So you'll notice I keep feeling where I am. I can't see exactly where I am, but I can feel it. So use your hand. So I'm almost around this knuckle. So here we go. There it is. Now, I used to be able to do this pretty quick, but since I'm not in the restaurant business anymore, it's a little bit awkward and I need to get back in the swing of things. However, I'm still functional. So again, I get it there. Pull it. You don't have to pull it all the way up. Now you can cut it with your knife. Now this goes in with my stock. Here's my little pocket in here. But I've decided I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and lay it open. So here's my 2 tenders, 2 breasts, and the boneless chicken thighs with the leg meat all in one piece. So I want you guys to do this week, which is the first week of class. And then these pieces you're going to save. I want you to wrap them, wrap the dark meat, label it, freeze it, wrap the 2 breasts, label them, freeze them, and wrap the tenderloins and label those and freeze those as well. Try to keep them all together. We're going to use these in a future class. So we're going to make stock a little bit later on today, but go ahead and use these, wrap them up, put them in your freezer, and we'll use them next time. For the chicken that you did previously, you just cut it up, the 8-way cut, that's dinner. So enjoy, and I'll be back a little bit later to show you some stock.